what is going on, guys? TufT here, and today I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about a new series I want to start on this channel called TufT Talks. It's just going to be me, once or twice a week or whatever, talking just about things that are happening in the CSGO community, ranging from anywhere from, CSGO betting and skins and pro players and the scene that sort of surrounds the, esports section of things versus, in-game play, stuff happening in game, updates, the current meta, all that sort of stuff. And to start the series off today, I'm going to be talking about CSGO betting and betting on pro teams and stuff, and sort of my opinions on it, whether or not I do it or not, whether or not I think it's right, whether or not I believe in it, like being morally okay, and sort of the pros, cons, why people do it, the risks, benefits, the intrigue, I guess you could say, and all sort of things about it. So obviously, sites that involve gambling in general, not necessarily just on pro teams, but any site where you can deposit skins and earn credits and coins and money and gamble it on any variety of games. I've seen sites where you can deposit skins for, slots in a roulette, or you can play card games, or you can, put it all into a pot and then it just randomly selects one, generates a code or something and then just automatically queues for one player to get everything. And anywhere from that, the whole, the purely I think that's more of a straight up risk, just the pure gambling aspect of it, just throwing skins in, trying to get more, and doing stuff like that. And then that's one way that a lot of people would like to gamble with CS stuff. And then the other way, obviously, is betting on pro teams on sites like CSGO Lounge or other things like that. I know there's a lot of other fantasy team things that are sort of becoming more popular now. A lot Alpha Draft, and I know Vulcan's getting pretty popular as well. Just sites where you can, pick a fantasy team, and then based on how those players perform and based on the stats and stuff they do, how they perform during the week and whether or not they do well, positive, or suit a certain role, or you place money on them depending on how you think they're going to do, or certain things that you think will happen. Sort of hard to predict how any player is going to play during a certain time or a certain week based on the teams that they're going to be playing, and I don't know, it's all just sort of really weird and hard stuff to predict, which sort of leads me to my main purpose. Obviously, betting on CSGO pro teams is a lot, I guess, less of a risk than if you were to go onto a gambling website and sort of just bet your skins on a percent chance that you're going to get them back along with other people's stuff. I don't really I've never really been into that whole thing. I've done it a couple times, never been super interested or fond of it, so I'm not a huge fan of those sites, to be honest. But CSGO pro team betting is sort of more acceptable, and I'd say it's the more widely performed use of gambling, I guess. I don't know, I feel like everyone that plays CSGO and has a decent inventory, anyone who plays understands that you're constantly wanting to grow your inventory, get better skins, because they're just such a huge part of the game. And anyone who's super involved in the pro scene and loves following the players and all the matches like I do, obviously is well, if I know all this stuff about the teams, and if I think that a certain team's going to win, why wouldn't I just bet skins on it, try and make some profit off of it? And honestly, that leads to a lot of things. It's led me to lose quite a bit of money on games and stuff, because honestly, no matter how hard you try to predict certain things, CSGO is honestly one of the most unpredictable games that you could possibly bet on. So guys, if you want to make profit based on betting and stuff, go do it on some other game, because CSGO is just way too unpredictable, if you ask me. Now, there are people out there that are just fucking voodoos and, see the future and predict all the upsets, this and that, are super good at, match predicting, or whatever you want to say. But I'm not one of those people. I'm just, I'd say I'm more than an average fan, I guess, and I love following the pro scenes. I keep up with all the players. I follow them all on Twitter, read all their stuff about them, try and keep up with everyone as much as possible. Constantly strolling through, CSGO Lounge, Reddit feeds, Twitter, Esports The Score actually is a really sick app if you guys want to check that out. They have a lot of good news stories and stats, and I'm always just looking and digging deeper into the pro scene, because I feel like it's super fun and interesting to get into. And people do that with baseball, with football, with any other sports. And so CSGO being kind of a niche thing for me, I guess I'd like to just follow it as well. So that's sort of my opinion on how I guess I follow it so much, and I'm well, if I know all this stuff about the players and the teams, why not just bet on them? So I do, and then, you know, every once in a while you win, you lose some, whatever, you can't predict all of them, right? But there's just so many factors that go into betting on pro games. This is why it's a huge risk. And I mean, no matter how well you think you're going to succeed in making profit or correctly predicting what teams will win, there's never a 100% guarantee, because there are just so many factors that go into betting on a certain team, or like having a certain team win. Because, like, for example, I just watched 3 games be played. Virtus Pro was in all of them. Now, Virtus Pro at the moment isn't one of the best teams in the world. They were rated in the top 4, and then at the major had a piss poor performance, ended up dropping out before they even made it to their like semifinals. And so they're sort of going through a slump right now. And then they ended up playing NIP and G2, both of which are teams that are ranked far below them as far as like teams in the world go, whatever. And Virtus Pro got stomped by both of those teams, both teams they probably could have won. And then went on to play Envious and then absolutely destroy them, which is one of the better teams in the world at the moment, I would say, and a lot of people would agree with me. So it's like, how can one team play 3 games in a row? One, obviously, you've got the mental strain of playing 3 games in a row. Like, no one can focus for an extended period of time and still perform at their best. You know, honestly, I've tried playing best of 3s, and to be focused and play at a professional level for that long, like, that's pretty much like 3.5 hours, you know, assuming all the games are about 45 minutes long, of constantly hopping between servers, playing out 16 rounds or playing to 16 rounds, whatever, and then, you know, switching servers, playing against a whole other team, constantly readjusting your strats, playing on a new map, having to reset up your defaults, go over strats again, like, just all that stuff happening, like, back to back to back. By the 3rd map, you've got to be some kind of mentally exhausted. Like, you've expended so much energy in the first 2 games that it's like really sort of weird and tiring, and mentally you just sort of lose that edge that you have at the first game where you're all hyped up and ready to play. And so honestly, like, there's factors like that go into it, like mentally where the players are, like if they're able to focus or not, if they played a certain amount of games before that. Another factor that goes into how teams perform is like their matches previously in the day, the map that they play on, you know, if they're using stand-ins or not. All this stuff, there are so many factors, an unbelievably unconceivable amount of factors that go into betting on these games, and that's why I sort of try and refrain from doing it. I still do it often just because I'm like, well, if I'm going to follow the scene, why not? And it's also sort of fun just to sort of root on and cheer for your favorite teams, and, you know, hope you can make some profit off them, either doing really well or doing really poorly. And yeah, but honestly, like, if you're trying to do it to make profit, I would say probably try and find another game that's a little more like predictable, I guess. Because the top teams in CSGO are always being debated, always changing, and it's a constantly evolving meta. Like, there's no team that's ever going to be on top for a long period of time. Like, we sort of just recently watched the end of Fnatic sort of reigning over the scene and winning 2 majors in a row, pretty much dominating and taking that top #1 spot for like 2.5 years, and then very recently being, you know, sort of shut out. And then now there's this power struggle where you know, a lot of teams are sort of fighting for that #1 spot. Envious sort of taking it at the moment, but like I said, they just got beat up by Virtus Pro. Now, granted, they did have a stand-in, and there's a lot of things we can do to talk about that, whatever. There's so many factors, like I said, and have been saying in this entire video, but like, it is probably one of the single most unpredictable games, and literally there are so many factors that go into it that it's almost impossible to predict, I would say. And, you know, you can do it to a degree, but there's a vast amount of luck and sort of just relying on all the stars to align, you know, for those people that do actually make significant amounts of money betting. So that's sort of my little rant on that, how I feel about it. Honestly, I'm not going to say that I don't support betting. Like, honestly, on pro teams and stuff, sites like CSGO Lounge where you bet on teams to win, lose, whatever, it's totally okay. The fantasy roster is pretty cool. However, I've never really done it just because I don't have the time or money to really invest in that. And but as far as like sites where you bet skins and put it into like jackpots and stuff, I don't really care for those that much. But anyway, totally up to you guys. Bet and whatever at your own discretion. I'm not saying to support or you know, not to do it, whatever. I just figured I'd talk about it because it's kind of an interesting topic, and I know a lot of people that play CSGO get into it, and a lot of people looking to play CSGO or are just sort of getting involved, they're probably attracted or have heard about it. So I just figured I'd state my opinions on those, and yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have your comments, if you have an opinion different than mine or the same as mine, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to read and hear what you guys have to say about the pro scene in general at the moment, and or betting on other sites, skins, any good ideas or good websites you guys have been to, and yeah, all stuff like that. So until next time, guys, I will see you all later. Peace.